In this lecture, we begin step 4, which is developing a framework. And this step will include this and the next 4 lectures. So there are 5 total lectures in this step. In this lecture, we are going to define framework. We are going to look at the attributes of successful frameworks. We're going to look at the different issues that frameworks address, and then we will end with 2 categories of frameworks. And those 2 categories will really be what we spend the rest of this step looking at. And so again, just for clear reference, here is our roadmap. We have already completed the first 3 steps, and we are now at step 4. So what is a framework? Well, a framework is a set of processes, tools, and standards that guide privacy program management. This is the operationalization of our values and principles and privacy controls. You'll remember when it comes to values and principles, a few frameworks that we've looked at include the Fair Information Practices or Fair Information Practice Principles, the FIPS. We also looked at the OECD guidelines and the APEC privacy framework. Privacy control and security control are 2 terms that we're going to return to when we get to the protect section of the privacy program governance lifecycle. In short, though, a control is a countermeasure that we implement in order to help us mitigate risk. And we'll talk more about privacy and security controls later. Attributes of frameworks are that they help us to achieve compliance. They serve as a competitive differentiator, and we talked about competitive differentiation in Domain 1. Frameworks also help us to support business objectives and address legal and regulatory obligations. Frameworks help us to address a number of issues. For example, they help us to identify and define program gaps and privacy risks. They embed into and continuously monitor privacy throughout all business functions. They assign accountability for the privacy program. They provide employee training and awareness. They help us stay up to date on industry best practices. They help us maintain an incident response program. They help us to communicate privacy-related issues. And they also help us to establish a common language or vocabulary so that we can work well with our cybersecurity counterparts. 2 categories of frameworks include principles and standards and laws, regulations, and policies. And this is what we're going to be devoting the rest of this step to. So we're going to talk about these in the next couple lectures. In this lecture, we have defined what a framework is. In short, a framework is a set of processes, tools, and standards that guide privacy program management. A framework also helps us to operationalize values and principles, as well as privacy controls. Attributes of a good framework include helping us to achieve compliance, serving as a competitive differentiator, supporting business objectives, and addressing legal and regulatory obligations. The list of issues frameworks help us achieve is here. I will not read through that list. And in the next few lectures, we're going to be talking about principles and standards, as well as laws, regulations, and policies.